Hey there, Mr. Longhart. It seems like you're pretty quick off the mark the last couple of streams. Mr. Allen, don't you people have something better to do with your lives? Jason, how you feeling? You getting over that sickness of yours? Alexandra? David? And Mr. Hughes? Alrighty, so we got a... Whoa, that's a... What a free screw running. That's a chassis screw. That's not... That's interesting. That is not a chassis screw for this type of computer. This is like a 1502, 1398, that sort of era chassis screw. It is not one from one of these. See how these have got the colour heads on them? It's kind of weird. That's just been rattling around in there. Apparently it went to an Apple shop and they said that there's nothing they can do about it, it's dead. I do believe they got the data off, so I'm not quite sure how they did that, maybe through GSX or something. Which is unfortunately not a tool I have access to. Not directly anyway, I sort of indirectly have access to it through some other people, but not myself. Yeah, Jim, that was not meant for general consumption per se. That was a... I need to create a... what do you call it? A list for Flexboard View videos where I'm describing how to use or don't use things. Your brother had an operation today. You just... oh, look at that. They left the Wi-Fi cable disconnected. Jason, you seem to be having a rather unfortunate run of life events there. Really hope you start to see a turnaround on things. I guess we all wish that, but unfortunately it doesn't always happen that way. Hey, Mr. B-Blood. Yeah, my brain's not in it right now. Why do I feel like the... oh, okay, it's T4 time. Right, we've got a missing screw there. Missing T4 on the screen retainer bracket. Surely this wasn't done by an Apple store, surely. I mean, usually when it comes to things like screws, they're fairly pedantic. And they're always doing their best to screw here, screw there. This just seems a little bit over the top in terms of awful quality. I mean, okay, I know it's so far we've got one screw missing, one Wi-Fi flex not connected, and one extra screw from another computer entirely. Hey, Mr. Edbus, Kratos, hey, Infomedia Tech, sorry about that. Yeah, Jason, I was thinking that was the one you were talking about, which is why I was feeling like you really, you're just not getting a break there. I mean, obviously it's not you per se directly, but I just mean in terms of your circle. It's exceedingly unfortunate. Can definitely feel this has got wine residue in it. Like I said, it has been to the Apple store, and like I said, they apparently did recover the data, but they would like to try and get the machine going. The fact that they can get the data off makes me kind of curious as to where the fault is, given that typically with these machines the SSD VREGs get taken out, but that is not going to be the case in this case. This will be a 1041 board, I think. A20 1041. Oh no, ATO 1700. My bad, my bad. Oh, that's right. The 1041 is the A1990 machine, whereas this is the A2141. Okay, fan flex is jacked up, and then this one's jacked up with nastiness. Corrosion building up on there. Okay, these are actually T5 screws, but I'm being naughty and using a T4 to get those off. A laptop disassembly. I'm guessing you pull apart laptops. Hey Christos, hey creature. Well, creature, you missed the other stuff the other night, so that's your own fault, not mine. Don't make your inability to catch the interesting streams my problem. It's all on you. They tore. Okay, so that fan there is torn. Look at that. I'm gonna guess this actually wasn't done by an Apple store. I'm gonna think that it actually was done by a third-party store who maybe more specializes in PCs. I'm gonna have to check that. I can understand if it was, say, the person who owns the machine and they disassembled it. That's no problem at all, because yeah, this particular model of the MacBook is notoriously frustrating to deal with, like that flex. If I had to say, I would guess that they put the logic board down and that was trapped underneath, and then they tried to yank it out and they've damaged it. As I said, I know Apple stores aren't perfect, but usually you get a pretty decent, they're pretty decent at taking these things in and out. They do them quite a bit. Whenever they've got to do chassis replacements or deck replacements, things like that. So they're not complete noobs when it comes to moving logic boards in and out. But that definitely feels more like someone has tried to hook that out. Yeah, David, when you sort of get used to the MacBooks, you kind of do... Yeah, I mean, look at that. So this is at the very least going to need fan replacements, because this one here has got... Might be able to get away with that one. Or it might just simply be a write-off, I think. We'll see. Trying to go too fast, that's also possible. Battery's in good condition, or at least it feels like it's in good condition. There's no puffing up or pimples developing or anything like that. Alright. I do not have a test chassis for that model. I'm still trying to get my hands on one. There is a dent in the heat pipe. That's always interesting. By the looks of it, the liquid damage appears to have mostly probably been on the rest of the chassis, but I can see it's down here. Okay, let's have a look. Evening there, Arilla. Alright, I'm impressed if they got data off that, because that's a pretty butchered regulator there. There's enough of a mess there that it could easily have gone very bad. Jason, yeah, you were sending me a 1707. This is a A2141. Did I put 1707 in the title? I think I did, didn't I? No, I put A2141. Okay. I got myself a 1706 the other day, Jason, so I'm pretty good there. But yeah, 1707 and 2141s. Yeah, they managed to get the. I gotta check the job sheet on this one because it's actually throwing me for a wobbly here. 1484. Wine spilled on keyboard, ceased to work. Alright, I have, in that case, I think I have crossed my wires over. I'm thinking of another job. I'm just going to check my mail and see that I'm, actually thinking clearly here. Okay, spilled wine over the power button of my Pro, promptly died. Took it to a local repair shop. Okay, so it wasn't an Apple shop. I said mother was toast, but also screen and keyboard. The prompt try to say they also claim the data cannot be recovered without the board working. Ah, okay. Alright, I crossed my wires here. Alright, so it is not data recovered. We do need to recover the data, and it did not go to an Apple store. It went to a third-party store. Alright, I can see now why they, at the very least, were trying to sell a new chassis, because it seems they ripped up some of the cables. Jason, no rush at all. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. So the very first thing you do with these type of jobs, when it comes to dealing with the data, is see what the resistance of the NANDs and whatnot are. $600, that's a good sign. Just that'd be ground. And PP bus, also 600. We're going to replace that area anyway, but it's good to see 600 on that. Gives me a little bit of hope. I would say that we're going to have to replace these CD3217s. They look like they've had bad days. Certainly these caps look worse for wear. We'll check the other side. This one here. Usually on this particular board, the 1700, this is the one that tends to die more than the others. Unfortunately, we've got 1K. Wait. Okay, yeah, we've got 1K there, so that's actually pretty good going. So the NANDs, at least at this point, appear to be intact. We just have to do some preventative replacements, and then we can dig around with the rest of it. There's a couple of vias that have chewed through there as well, so they may be playing part of it. Feels like there's a bit of fattening of the circuit board going on here. It could be an optical illusion, but I get paranoid when it comes to these boards. That could be just a test pad, that one. But yeah, it just feels like there's... doesn't feel spongy, but visually it's making me think that there's a slight bit of lift in the circuit board there. And you got to be careful with this area because it does love to burn through with a nice internal carbonization that's downright nearly impossible to get rid of. Okay, so these two caps can take a hike. These ones should be okay, but certainly those two are janky now. Hey Patrick, good evening. Alright, and on this side, that cap, that regulator. Yeah. Given the fact that we don't have a short on PP bus, or the nans. I'm going to say 3217 is a suspect in this particular case, and probably a damn good thing too, because they probably saved the data. Hey B-Dog. Yep, there's some solid corrosion under there. So like I said, if it was... Okay, I've just noticed something else. We've got a cap missing here. Someone's knocked that off. I'm almost certain I didn't flick that off. And again, maybe I did. Hey Gustavo. Come on, beep. Thank you. I had to laugh at YouTube today. I uploaded a 15-second video of a cuckoo wasp dropping eggs into some other wasp's nest today, and within about an hour I had over 5,000 views. I don't get that on most of my videos ever, let alone over, even over an extended period of time. So it's funny to see it go up to 5,000 in under an hour. Just goes to show there's no... Well, YouTube algorithm is a mystical fun beast. Probably going to get rid of those two caps too. They're a little bit damaged. Caps aren't a risk, but I still want to do it. Catch you later, Jason. Wishing you the best there. Heaven, I want to take two, but I... That's what I get for trying to be greedy in the first place. If I'd just taken one, came back and took the other, then I would never have done that. Um, eye dreaming, I did in one of a recent stream, but as a general rule, I don't tend to use it much. They are useful tools, but for diagnostic work like this, I don't really find them to be. I don't find the need come up too often. For when I'm doing prototyping and things like that, like designing new products, I tend to use the oscilloscope. But for diagnostic sort of stuff on these MacBook boards, not very often. So 10 microfarad, 25 volt. So it's pretty classic. Pretty sure that one will be one as well. Sorry, just realised you didn't see that. So I'm fairly sure this one's also 1025. Yep, it is. Okay. Hey sweetie, you after me? Sorry? Ah, Momo. Yeah. This one here is one of the Apple weird 20 microfarad 10 volt 402 sizes. It's a very strange size. Yeah, and these are all the same. These are all the 20 microfarad 10 volt. Like I said, it's a bizarre size that I cannot get my hands on. Third party, like, from a normal supplier, whether it be DigiKey, Mouser, Arrow, whoever, they just don't have them. So basically I'm left with a situation I can put 10 microfarad ones in, which is going to be okay in this situation, or I can use 603 20 microfarad ones, but it gets a little bit squeezed putting a 603 on there. So I'm just going to go for the 402 10 microfarads. There's enough decoupling on the rails in general for that particular for that rail that I can get away with this. If these were the only decoupling caps on the rails, then I wouldn't be able to get away with it. I could double them up, but there's really not that much point. Hey Didumres. And Darius, good evening. Did you get a post, a gecko? Yeah, I probably would actually get a lot of views for that. It's particularly if I can get one that's laughing. The fur kids don't appreciate geckos. They tend to chase them and kill them. It's a little bit brutal, but I will admit that in this particular instance, I kind of sometimes let it happen, purely because they're not native geckos. If they were native geckos, I would immediately Not that it should matter from a humanitarian perspective. But it's certainly become the season now for all the insects. Like tonight they were getting into grasshoppers. I think most of them managed to catch themselves a grasshopper, boarded into the house. That's always fun. Ah, damn it, I'm out of my original strip of TPS 62180s. That's a little bit terrifying. TPS 62180s are a very, very important chip for most of these new machines. So pin 1 on this one is up this way, which we have, so that's good. We don't want to have a near screw up like we did the other night. It would have been very fitting for me to stuff up the one the other night, given how I was pontificating about how to, doing things right, double checking everything. If I hadn't have double checked, then yeah, I would have absolutely wrecked it. That was a bit of a jump, wasn't it? We'll just stick some flux under there. It's kind of run a bit dry. At least now it's not going to fly off. That was good. Okay, now this is the other side of the board in the same area. Looks like this took the worst of it, so I'm actually going to cover it up with a bit of flux in general, and while I'm working on replacing these caps, that flux should help just like clean up things a little bit. I'm going to guess these are also 603 10 microfarad 25 volt units. $10.25. What's the other one? $10.25. Yep. I will hopefully be doing a live stream of setting up the new office with the new computer that I've got coming. The thing I'm worried about is the computer's going to get here before I'm ready, and so I'm going to want to actually get it up and running, but the room won't be ready. So I don't know if I have that kind of level of self-discipline to prevent myself building the new machine before I'm actually ready to do the live stream. I also have to work out how I'm going to do the live stream, because I suppose I'll just have to resort to using some of my old Logitech 1080 30 frames per second cams. let that cool down a little bit, and I think I'm going to brush it down with a bit of combination water and alcohol, because there's still some wine on there. I can smell it as I'm reheating things, and so it's sort of carbonizing as I go. So you can sort of see the speckling of it over here. This is all wine droplets. Has chat died, or are we still alive? Maybe I've finally gotten to that unboring threshold. Oh, yep, no, it's alive. You've got to use a bit of water in the mix to get things like wine and coke and all that off. If you just use purely alcohol, you'll be there all day trying to get it to come off. But do finish off with just pure alcohol like that. That way it displaces any of the water that might be remaining. It's a lot prettier than it was before. At least on that side. I'll just give this one a scrub too. Yeah, water is one of those great universal type solvents that we don't really sort of think about much. But in terms of the number of things in which it can put into solution, it's quite an impressive solvent. Morning, Rob. Yeah, I think Maroto, if people don't respect it in the sense of, if they use things like tap water and if they don't clean it off, then yeah, they can run into strife. Particularly tap water. Like the tap water around here has a rather extensive hardness, so it's got a lot of mineral content, and that makes it quite conductive. Not to mention that when it does actually dry off, it leaves behind one heck of a residue. So you definitely want distilled or deionized at the very worst. Alright, that's that part done. Creature, when you say too soft is not a good thing, are you talking about for humans or for other stuff? I mean, too soft can be slightly acidic, of course, and because it basically has nothing in it, it will be a more active solvent. Is that what you're meaning? I mean, it depends on how you define soft. Like where we used to live, we basically got rainwater. And it had stuff in it, but it was probably more from the actual water tank, which is a problem. Okay, these ones look fine. but I would definitely say we got trouble up and around here. You can sort of see that stuff has swum underneath there. I'll give that a little bit more washing too. I will be thankful for one thing, they didn't try to ultrasonic clean it, so I've got to give them props for that. Fortunately, because we've recorded now where the various deposits were, I can proceed to, with reasonable level of hope, wash away those bits of, what was it, whoops, wine that was hanging around there. See, if they had washed it away before I got a chance to see this board, I wouldn't have suspected this area too quickly. Because on the cleanup it looks quite good. Creature, the soft water we would get here would not have a lot in it at all. It would be basically ever so slightly on the acidic, so it would be around about a 6.8 or 6.9 on the pH. It was very lovely water. I was very sad the day that we no longer got it, or when we moved. And my fish tanks in particular really missed it. Very hard to get tetras to feel at home with anything other than pretty much rainwater with a bit of tannin in it. Alright, let's do some measurements. Bee blood, they were 20 microfarad. What was it? 20 microfarad, 402 size, and 10 volts, I think they were. Yeah, 20 microfarad, 10 volt, 402, X5R class. Ah, boy. Okay, let's see if we've got any shorts on these important LDO caps. Fuses are intact. No surprise there, really. Alrighty, I think we'll give this a shot. Like I said, the V-regs for the... oh man, I might just peel that off, make sure there's nothing lurking under here. There shouldn't be, but saying there shouldn't be is not the same as checking it and knowing there isn't. Ach, niemand. Alright, so that's the Thunderbolt controller. So we've got a bit of junk running around in there. Let's see if we can just gently warm that off. Jeff Geerling, isn't he the Raspberry Pi guy or something? I think that's him, isn't it? Hey there, Prater and Ian. Ian, I guess it depends, if you're just sort of keeping the Tetras alive, that's fine. If you're trying to actually get them to spawn, they can be real... And it depends on the Tetras too. I will admit though, I have noticed that through the years and years of breeding, they do seem to have developed... I shouldn't say developed. We do seem to have Tetras, like Neons in particular, that are very tolerant of harder water. I remember in the 80s though, it was a nightmare trying to keep the damn things happy. Good luck getting any cardinal Tetras, jeez. I mean, you could occasionally get them, but they did not appreciate anything other than perfect. But Neons and Glow Lights, they were pretty quick to be normalized to less than perfect. Oh, you had Plecos. Yeah, they are very frustrating when they'll just gobble up everything, as you know, yeah. I'm just going to check the PV bus. It should be okay, but... yeah, PV bus seems okay. I just realised I have used my good USB-C port on my own machine. I've got to buy another one now. I do have some other ones around here. They'll check with their chassis. Maybe they've got one that isn't contaminated by wine. I would say this side is probably the safer bet. And I've got a whole bunch of little bits and pieces here that I've got to now stick into a baggie so that I've got proof that I actually did repair this machine. Well, not really proof, more of just like another data point that I repaired it, aside from the fact that I've got video footage. Video footage is pretty damning evidence. Just as I open up another baggie of baggies, I find the other bag of baggies. Hey there, Andrew Hughes. And Mark, 3186. Ah, and Horst is here. Hello, Horst. You've been hiding. Well, their capacitor just went to the stratosphere. That one tried. Alright. Good evening, David Willits. I can't say I recognise your name. My apologies if you've been here before. We get the usual sort of crowd of 100, 200 people, so you do tend to remember most of them, particularly out of the ones that chat, because even though you get that crowd, most of them don't chat. Another part that I missed. Okay, turn off the fan. Extractor. Okay. Hopefully the USB meter. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, 5 volts. 20 volts. We are booting. 50, 70. The current is not right though. It may come up yet. Yeah, that's not a good current to be stuck at. Gives me fears of a T2 scenario. I'm going to try a minimal connection here. I do want to get battery and hopefully screen. Can't believe that the fans are not going to probably run. If we're lucky we might get that one to run, but I'm not putting a lot of money on that. Do I use a software or create a software for bookings? Oh, right, you mean like a ticket software? Yes, I wrote my own ticket software so that it would integrate with my custom accounting software and invoicing software. Ticket check-in software isn't too bad to write. Just, a little SQLite 3 database usually does the trick nicely, with a bit of PHP, and away you go. I don't think we're going to need microphones. It's the only way that you can realistically put these boards back in without screwing everything up and jamming cables under things, which is what the other store likely did. That's quite frustrating because it is preventable, but unfortunately, like I said, you sort of have to know that you're about to encounter that scenario. So for the first time around or two, people are not likely to do that. But you do it enough times and you start thinking, that's it, I need to do something to prevent this from being an absolute pain in the backside. Okay, screen's in, won't do that. Do you sell things out? I do not. A lot of my software that I write, I don't tend to sell it or put it out in public. I mean, it depends on the utility. Things like accounting software and job tracking software, it is intrinsically one of those intractable type situations where no matter how much you write or improve on it, there's always new things that people want added on or new situation, and it just becomes a living nightmare to try and maintain it and keep up with it. So you tend to write what you need to write and just keep it in your basement locked away. Okay, I'm kind of curious to see whether we get a charge current or not. Okay, we jumped up to 200 then, 400. Okay, looks like we've got charge current maybe, or it's boot current. AliExpress only has 10 microfarad 402. Yeah, it's a very weird format. of capacitor, and I've not even bothered looking for it anymore. I just put the 10 microfarads on it and good to go. Okay, we do not have a screen. Not that that means anything. Having a charge current is a good thing. At least somewhat clears the T2. We know our ISL will be working. But there are so many other signals that need to come up before the machine itself will come up. Yeah, Joho, you're probably right about that with the privacy cover thing. I've got no heat on my CPUs. See ya, Shad. Thanks for dropping in. Now, it could just simply be the battery is so depleted, and it might come up in a little bit. Crocodile, funnily enough, that's one of the few things I really refuse to do in most cases. As a, there's a lot of things I will do for a customer out of goodwill, like if it's here and whatever. But cleaning these screens is not something I will do, because it is such a expensive piece of the computer to replace that if I do something wrong, just something goes wrong, it doesn't matter what. If something little goes wrong and they decide they want to blame me for the fact that their screen is now no longer how it was, I don't want to be on the hook for that. They can clean their own screen, I'm sorry to say. Oh, we've got no CPU activity yet, so I'm just giving it a minute or two more to see if it will charge up, because I have encountered scenarios with this particular model where it won't turn on until the battery is ready to roll. B-Blood, I know that sounds funny, and I know you're being facetious, but people can react like that. Or worse, you clean their stuff and they see scratches and they blame you for the scratches that were already there. Hey there, Pierre. Good evening to you. Alexandra, yeah, DFU mode is a possible. The current was a little bit low, but in saying that, come to think of it, with my USB meter, my values are usually about 20 milliamps below what the normal ones that you get, mostly because it's not drawing from the USB-C line, it's drawing from the USB mini line. So it's quite possible that 30 milliamps for mine is actually DFU like 50 milliamps on the other ones. Mark, pretty much any of the retinas suffer that problem. Pretty much all of them. It's that anti-glare coat on them. Good evening, Michael-chan. How are you? It reminds me I need to keep practicing my Chinese. It's very slow going for me. I'm a extremely slow learner. It's just the way it is. I think what's hard with Chinese is that it's very hard. There's no real there's nothing really to connect Chinese, what you're learning in Chinese, to what you know in English. Whereas, say, if you're going to try and learn Deutsch or French or anything like that, there's a fair bit of interplay, Spanish, all that sort of stuff. You can sort of make connections, but with Chinese, it's like you're starting from a fresh slate of completely knowing nothing. I'm getting there, but it definitely takes time. So every day, around about 15 minutes or so, I practice. And more things are coming together, and I'm sort of hoping that I will achieve a little bit of an epiphany moment, or not really an epiphany moment actually, more of a crystallization moment where all of a sudden I can have enough of a memory base built up and the connections form. And I can, from there, I suspect, or I hope, probably more hope than suspect, that the progress will be a bit quicker. I am using Duolingo actually. Okay. The tones, yes, the tones are the hard part. And you feel like when you're trying to do the tones that you're over accentuating them. Okay, no, the reason why I wanted to reconnect the power button to see if it could. I was hoping I would see the battery symbol. I got nothing. It was a fast meeting, Shad. What happened? No one turn up? I've still got no CPU activity. Ray Moorhead, I've generally found that doesn't seem to reliably work on this model to do that. A lot of the new ones, they want their battery. Okay, we're definitely not powering up here. This could be locked in DFU. I wonder if that's what I wonder if they tried to do that. This is the other problem, is sometimes shops that have got enough stuff on hand, they will do things like, well, let's try put it in DFU mode and see if we can get something off it. And once you put it into DFU mode, it complicates your situation. Alright, so unfortunately you're not going to see what I'm going to do. I'm really hoping when I plug this in, it doesn't come up saying Thunderbolt connection issues or whatever. That's just because that will just basically mean a T2 failure, in which case I might as well just pack up and go home. There may be some scenarios where it's not a T2 fault, but I've found pretty much all of them have been to date. Anyway, so I'm plugging it in. We've got power and data link. We haven't got a T2 complaint yet. And lo and behold, it's in recovery mode. Okay. Advanced. Try for the revive. Yeah, it's in recovery mode. So yeah, once again my meter reads 20 odd milliamp lower than most of the typical ones. Well, hopefully this works. Yeah, I'm cheating with my meter because of the fact that I'm using the data link to the PC as the power line. I prefer to do it that way. It keeps it isolated as well. And also the reason why I've done that is because when you disconnect the power or change things around, you don't want to have your software losing track of the device. It's like, where'd the device go? And then you've got to try and re-find it again. It messes with the ability to have a good data connection. Horst, €50. Why have you contributed such much? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know. It's always confusing what to say at these moments, but I greatly appreciate that actually. Hopefully we have a win here for you. What I am planning on doing is, once I start getting my USB meters in production, I am going to actually smash these ones up as examples of... They're so frustrating, these ones. Like the screws come out of this one. Okay, that one there, that's not fair. That's just a normal USB-A type meter, but it's the same principle. You can't read the values on there. Okay, I should say I can't read them because I'm older. Not old, I'm just older, and my eyesight is, starting to drift off a bit. This one here, actually I had hope for, because it's got just a reflective LCD, the digits are big, it was a simple meter, it should have been fine. But the two problems, well, I'd say the biggest problem is that the way they've designed it will only go one way. It's not a bidirectional current, and so I would have liked to have plugged this into the laptop and have the main USB cable coming in here, and then you can read it with the laptop. But I can't. That has to go over to the power brick itself, which kind of makes it useless. The other problem, of course, it doesn't have a data link, so one of these ones, I'm not sure if it was this one, it was another one. There was one that Jim Hook sent me. It had a Bluetooth data link, but my god, that was a nightmare to get working. Oh, well, it's nice of you to say that, horse. I'm not sure what you've learned, but I'm glad you learned something. Maybe you learnt the Australian accent off me, which, by the way, I am not a good reference for the classic Australian accent. If you want to have the genuine Australian experience, as it were, or the, how could you say, the stereotypical Australian experience, I strongly recommend you go and see EEV blog with Dave Jones. He knows how to be an Australian. I do not. I am not a good flag holder for my country when it comes to accent, behaviour, or anything like that. So if you want that sort of thing, go see Dave Jones. He'll set you right, mate. To speak genuine Aussie, you have to add as to everything you say. As if as. Even as the knife. That he does, yeah. Did Unrose one USB meter of yours? Wait, what? Wait, you sent one? Or are you saying you want one of mine? I do have 20 of them here. Oh wow, what are these old boards? No, wrong box. Oh, new ones. I was going to say. Oh no, these are my ring lights. By the way, the new LED ring lights, they are now in shipment, so they should be here in about 2 weeks. What I did was, I did end up putting 32 LEDs all up, but then I extended one side of the board out quite a bit, and I put current mirroring BJTs down here, and a DC jack point. So hopefully they'll work out. Once again, they'll be aluminium. And the other thing I did is I basically aligned all of the LEDs the same. I didn't try and rotate them so they made a nice little ring around or anything like that. It's pointless. They've already got built-in diffusers, so you're not trying to point the light in any direction. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see. It could be another dud. At least the nice thing is that, it's a couple of dollars to try it out. If it doesn't work, no big issue. I can use these for other things. Maybe, that still puts out a decent amount of light, but it's just not the right light. Oh yeah, my, what was I going to say? My LEDs are also shipped. The 5000 Kelvin ones. So they're the same footprint, but they're 5000 Kelvin. And they're also still supposedly 97 CRI percentage. I say supposedly because it's one thing for them to say that, it's another thing for it to actually be that. Oh no, system cannot be restored. Failed to handle message type. Oh no, that's bad news. That's T2-ish probably. Okay, Predator. Fuse for aluminium boards. That's what thin wires are for, creature. You don't need a fuse when you got thin wires. Okay, so this is not going to be fun. Operation couldn't be completed. AM restore error domain 6 error. Failed to handle message type. Status message. Operation failed. AM restore error domain 6. Yeah, that's ugly. This is going to be another no money job for me. That sucks. I actually don't even know what that particular error message even is. The device is not in recovery mode. Okay, fair enough. If so, say you. It seems like Jim's got a higher standard of what he considers to be learning. Oh well, creature, wouldn't have the balsa wood have rotted by now, just through dry rot? I've long since... yeah, I don't have any planes. I think the biggest disappointment I had with that model is that I never got around to making the better fuselage as standard. It's like when I went for the tapered fuselage, it was definitely a better option. But I didn't get around to making it standard, and that after a while, what was it, Mountain Models, they sold to another group, and that was the end of that. Hey, Godfrey. It might have been complaining because the touch bar wasn't present, but that's not usually the case. Some of these devices will complain if all the peripherals are not connected. It will refuse to do a revive. But typically that tends to be more at once the trackpad and keyboard, screen, that sort of thing. And Touch ID. But not normally the touch bar. But anyway, I'm going to plug this back in because it did come up straight away saying it was somewhat alive. Certainly the T2 controller was. I will yield on the aluminium, given the fact that it was not, in fact, the original plane's pronunciation. But almost everything else, I stand firm. EV blogs are starting to get into debunked videos. As in, is he debunking actual devices, or is he just more being like Thunderfoot? Okay, we just had a reset there. That's a little bit concerning. And I do not have any CPU heat. The lack of CPU warmth is a great concern. And we had another reset. Ah, jeez. Alright. Okay, I'm just going to power straight off. No battery. Trouble is, it's wiggling around a lot, so it is actually trying to bring something up. Alright. So it was already in recovery mode. We hopefully have kicked it out of that, but we don't know what we're in right now. Now it's a unknown. Yeah, no fan spin either. Not even at the start. We know it's charging. We know that it will go into DFU mode. We know, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that are working, but there's something inhibiting it. It could actually even be... Yeah, I need to leave that button off. What can sometimes... Usually that causes a short, not this sort of behavior. What can happen is that things like wine get into the Touch ID button, and it sort of keeps it in a reset mode, or it's like it thinks it's being held down, and that can make it do that sort of 30-second rotating thing. Yeah, Crocodile, I actually, previously, I don't know, 18 months ago, I would periodically watch Thunderfoot and see him debunk things that were debunkable, like solar roadways and the water from the desert type things, all that sort of stuff that, you could clearly see the science was valid for debunking it. But then, yeah, he got this... I don't know, he got this distaste for the likes of Elon Musk, and yeah, I can appreciate some of it, but I think it's got taken a bit too far. It's like, yeah. So I don't know what the compulsion is there. I don't know why he's doing that. Then that when I started seeing those things, in spite of the fact that there were actually successes being made on, say, SpaceX side or whatever, I sort of started to back up a little bit and like, oh, what's going on here? We're just trying to get views now, or are we trying to actually debunk things that are debunkable? I agree, Creature, yes, the videos can be substantially shorter, which is, again, I'm thinking maybe it's more now it's becoming more of an entertainment channel than an actual debunking channel. Yeah, if that's the way they take it, that's the way they take it. I'm not stopping, we all do these sort of things. We all got to make a biscuit at the end of the day and feed ourselves. And if that's what he wants to do, that's what he can do. Hyperloop, yeah. Now Hyperloop I can understand. And really, I think, wasn't it more the Virgin Hyperloop that was the bigger issue? The Elon Musk one, I think that's sort of the Vegas one, isn't it? It's sort of like, okay, yeah, that was a bit of a interesting engineering project, but it's going to be a bit of a tricky one to roll out properly. I think the boring cut. Okay, 1. So that's okay actually for that. Yeah, those readings are fine. Like the Boring Company, I think they made some advancements there. Maybe they were things that were already in the industry. Are you upgrading monitor? I am getting 2 new screens for my new workshop, yeah. I mean, I think almost anybody that gets to that kind of status, like Musk, Bezos, all that sort of stuff, Branson, I think there's a certain type of personality that goes with that or gets there. But in spite of everything, in spite of the ambitious sort of, I think Elon's biggest problem is that he just loves new projects. His mind won't stop. And so he sort of gets a little bit of ahead of the realities. But he's certainly 8.7, that's tolerable. But most of them are within the realm of feasible. Like, I mean, SpaceX is certainly one of the Tesla's another good one. Not saying they're the best or anything like that, but at least they certainly were market shifters. And then, of course, we're all waiting on the Roadster and the Cybertruck and the actual truck, and they're significantly delayed, to say the least. But, we do have the 3, the X, the Y, and the S, and Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. I don't know what's going to go with Starship. I kind of feel like Starship might have been a bit of a, how could you call it, second system syndrome that's going to bite him in the ass a bit. I mean, I hope it works out. I'm excited. But I think maybe there was an intermediate step that should have been taken. But I'm not a rocket scientist. But I will say this much. At least with him throwing all that money at these projects, it is producing a lot of employment, and hopefully it is producing a lot of research and developments and progress into maybe new things that may, if these projects don't work out, hopefully we will learn something from that process that can be applied to a more feasible project. To me, he seems like an excitable person who pretty much can't sleep, has got a million ideas, and is just sort of starting to get frustrated with the realities that sometimes things don't move along at the speed of what you want. Could this work? 603, no, so the trouble, I can actually already get the 603 22 microfarad ones, yeah, I've actually got them. Saw purple burn mark before the flip bottom left pass cause, jeez. Purple burn mark. The trouble is I don't know which section you're talking about. They want to replace mobile phone towers with Starlink 2. Yeah, see, I think that may be... is that a push too far? Because mobile towers do a pretty good job of what they're for. If nothing else, if Tesla and SpaceX folded up tomorrow along with Elon and turned to dust, it would have at least been the disruption that the general industry needed to get moving, because for the most part we've been kind of coasting along and we haven't really had any sort of watershed moments to push people beyond the current comfort zone that we've been sitting in. There's always people going, it's never going to be good enough, this, that, whatever, and that's the perfect syndrome, perfect system fallacy. But needs to say, I think it was the push that was needed, and it's now created momentum that I feel like was needed. So even if everything else vanished overnight, I'm happy about that. Oh, stain board, okay, yeah. What do you think of Apple since Steve left? It's a bit tricky because I actually didn't really follow Apple that much while Steve was involved there. I think I don't know. I guess the problem is, are we naturally plateauing? Like, have we achieved sort of peak whatever when it comes to phones and computers in terms of the interface, and we now really have to wait for something colossally, wildly different? Or, do we just have to keep chipping away at it? Is it an incremental thing, or are we looking for some great big next change? I don't even know what I'm looking for right now. I was checking the PMIC to see if there was any shorted rails there that could be causing it to do that cycle business. And I'm just... There's a little bit of damage under there. We're getting 20 volts, so that eliminates a lot of things. And we're getting a constant charge, and that eliminates a lot of things. So at this point it feels like, yeah, something like, is it a partial T2 failure, or is it something else? Have I got a rail that's not coming up? It was interesting the other day, I was looking at one of the Facebook groups and someone posted a video showing how to recover from... Okay, so there's a bit of staining under here, so that's a concern to me. I might have to ultrasonic this. And they were showing how they replaced the T2 chip and reformatted the machine and whatnot, and voila, it came back. That's great, that's fantastic. But you want to tell us where to get some T2 chips that we can actually use? That's the hard part. Kind of wonder if I might have to check if data's important on this one, and maybe I'll have to pull a favor and get the GSX data extraction done on this one. Actually, is that a... So I was just feeling the T2 chip to see if it was raised up at all. The other thing is that, of course, with debunking, I wish more people would be aware of is, like, say, like the gravity storage thing, like the gravity storage tower, stuff like that. Because the trouble is, you see, you get the principle is fundamentally correct in the sense of, yeah, okay, you can lift up some mass and then let it go down again, and you can generate power off that. But it's the engineering side of it, the physical feasibility, that's the issue. Because we do sort of do that with hydroelectric already. And it's people's perceptions that get played on here, because when you think of, okay, if I lift up a 100-ton block, there's going to be a lot of energy in that, and I should be able to power my house for a couple of days off that energy. But the reality is that there isn't a lot of, if you do the math, there isn't really a lot of energy in even a couple of ton lifted up by 100 meters. It's surprisingly less than you imagine. And we should be thankful for that, because if it wasn't that way, we'd be burning a whole lot more energy doing mining or shifting stuff around or freight or anything like that. So, yeah. I'm not going to tap this bastard, I'm just trying to get it to, what do you call it, if there's anything underneath there, try and clean it a little bit. The PMIC doesn't look so crash on either. Hey there, Chris Stevens. Yes, Creature, I really did want to tap it. Really, really, really did. But tapping the T2 is not something you should do too often. Yeah, that's moved. Let them cool down slightly. Chris Stevens, I could be doing better, especially considering it's frickin' midnight. Alright, we do have a sequence here. That's a lot of sequences. But we do have a sequence. So let's see how far we can get. I should probably do the responsible thing and actually screw down the USB-C connector before I commence with this. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to be halfway through measuring something and then it's just going to go pop off. What would really 100% help here is if I knew where I put that USB-C connector. Oh, come on, Mr. Daniels. Seriously, where did I... There it is. But yeah, midnight, I should be crashing out. But I want to at least get started with that boot sequence and see how far it can go. I mean, that is the point I've got them there. I don't know if any of you subscribe or saw Adamant IT in a recent MacBook repair video. He was using one of the sequences that we set up. And he was just about to give up. And then it revealed itself to the fault. So that was a pretty good win for him. What do we got? Yeah, you see, like, you can see that it starts out for 200 odd reset and then crashes out from there. How many hours per week are you? Too many. Too many. Okay, Creature, enjoy the power washing. Do you play that game? I know Markiplier is absolutely addicted to that game. There's a game where you're a power washer. People find it extremely therapeutic, and I can understand why, but it's not for me. I've got to do power painting. I hate painting, and I've got so much to do. Hey there, Greg. Greg, what was going on with your YouTube comments, by the way? You made a mention of some significant issue there. Your power wash video got 7,000 views. That is bonkers crazy. Yeah, the things people will watch on YouTube. 12.6. What the hell? Why are none of my signals coming up? I think I've got the wrong damn one. Yeah, I think I've loaded in the wrong one. Oh well. I've got that. Well, can't hurt to check what we've got here anyway. Might rotate the board over. So it is actually like what I've got. Yeah, why can't these things have more test points, damn it? Test points make life so much easier. Okay, 1.8. We don't have that one either. iPhone, I did not. I do not have that level of sadomasochism in me. Not anymore, anyway. 1.1. Yep. What's this one? 0.8. Yep, it's 0.8. 0.82. Creep up here a bit. What? Something just got put in the trash and I don't know what it was. I can feel warmth. Unless it's... Actually, that's probably just residue warmth from... okay, so we went with that one there. 0.82. Comments being automatically deleted by YouTube, and apparently you're not alone. The system is run amok. Okay. Yeah, because I could have sworn I saw a comment from you at some point, but I wasn't sure whether it was that one or something else. Oh yeah, that's totally useful. Yeah, yeah. Can't measure that. 3v3 awake, it's on the other side. Go away. Oh, thank goodness there's a test point somewhere down there. Big cluster. I think that's it there. .3, yep. SDRAM awake. This is where having a nicely programmed CNC machine with a probe on it would be very nice. 0.8. 0.8. I'm going to presume that's actually correct. SDRAM awake. CPU SRAM awake. 0.8 seems valid-ish. Valid-ish. .9, yep. We don't have that one. .1, yep. How do your fellow Australians look on this whole royal thing? It's a bit of a split situation. The line probably starts to change somewhere between, say, Dave Jones's age and my age, in terms of percentages. I was young and I was able to watch, say, the Princess Diana Charles wedding when that was live and that was broadcast as satellite, which was an amazing thing back then. I think, what was that, 82 or something? I can't remember. I was in Jabiru, Northern Territory, which is like it's a uranium mine in the middle of nowhere, and we were able to watch that, so that was impressive. And then of course, Diana died and all that. So yeah, we do have that royalty aspect in our growing up, but in terms of, how can you say, feeling a part of it, that's certainly dwindled off, I think, in terms of population percentage. 81 was it? Right. There we go. It wasn't too far off. If he knows, it's not a good sign. 1v2 awake. That's like, I need to be awake. What am I playing, bingo now? And I think what's stirred up a lot of the debate at the moment is the fact that, we've got this public holiday which wasn't anticipated. And, that's fine, I get that. She was the Queen of Australia, or the Commonwealth and such. 0.7, what? Okay, I'm going to assume that's right. But where it's pissing people off at the moment is when you've got, say, cancer patients and things like that who already have a tough enough life and schedule, and this whole midweek 1.7, yeah, Sis Alive, that looks good. This whole midweek public holiday, and it's a bank class holiday, which means everybody shuts down. They have to try and get all that sort of things sorted out and rescheduled and all that, and it's thrown a lot of things into disarray. And so you can imagine there's a fair bit of discontentment now on the basis of the fact that these people have got to live. They're living still, and they've got stuff they've got to get done, stuff that isn't necessarily easy to reschedule. And it's all being thrown around because of someone who's no longer with us. So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky situation in that respect. Australia has changed considerably since 81, yeah. I mean, for a start, we won the America's Cup. That was a real kick to the crotch for America. They're like, we are the greatest. And Australia comes along and says, oi, cop this, mate. That was a fine day. It's more understandable than the AFL Grand Final holiday. Yeah, that's right, the AFL holiday. We don't get that up here. We don't even get a holiday for when we routinely win the State of Origin. Again, not really something I follow. And that's not just because we keep winning it. 3.3. America. Yeah, Merca. Doesn't anyone speak American around here? Okay, that's that one there. This is a very boring process, but okay, we do not have the RTC there. Well, it's a little nicer than the other things that we can call Americans. We can sometimes call them septic tanks. And that's more of a post-war type name. 0.87. The reason why we end up with seppos, that's right, yeah, we call them seppos. And it's a very strange name to give them, but the reason why we end up with the name Seppo is because it's meaning septic tank, And the reason why it's called septic tank is because it rhymes with yank, and American is a yank. So it's a real stretch, but that's the explanation for it. 3 volts. It's okay, Rob. You can deal with it. Yes, the Queen is on the $5 note. Usually the lowest denomination our royal head of state as such is on. $3.3. Yeah, the America's Cup thing was a big thing for Australia. Australia does suffer badly from inferiority complex. 5.1, which is why we're a bit stupid at the best of times, and we sell off our non-renewable resources at crazy low prices just to gain favor with other countries. So, yeah, listen, I got heaps of this stuff, mate. Why don't you come over here, take it, we'll give it to you cheap, hey? Yeah, no worries, mate. It's all good. 1.8. Well, wait, no, that's 3. Whoa, okay, we just had a hit there on something. 3v3, but it's reading 1.8, but I'm probably going to make the assumption that 1.8. I'm going to make the assumption that it's actually is meant to be 1.8 on this particular board, I think. And it is an enable line. It's not necessarily meaning it's a 3.3 volt line. Strikes as archaic. Yankee is some kind of derogatory thing. It's not really, how could you say, it's not really the word itself, like yank or Yankee, as being the derogatory term. It's more just the fact that, well, we're talking about Americans, and since we're Australians, we're supposed to hate Americans because, well, that's just sibling rivalry for you, sort of thing. So that's what it pretty much comes down to. It is interesting that post-World War II, Australia did commence undergoing a transition from being a predominantly British type situation into more American. And now I've heard that it was because of, let's see, 1.8, the whole war situation. As in, the Americans sort of said, well, we helped you guys out, so what you can do is now become more like us. Kind of. I don't know how truthful that is. That's just what I've heard in passing. So maybe someone can actually lend a hand on that one. Hey, Tony. Yes, north versus south thing, yes. God, this is... I'm gonna not be like Graham from Adam NIT, and I may not get through to the end of this. PMU reset. Hey, Anthony McGregor. Oops, that didn't sound very pretty. $1.8. Wait, where am I? PMU reset? There we are. UK being in the Pacific after World War. Yeah, it did seem like that. No, I guess that's what it all... I don't know. I don't follow the politics enough. I probably should. I'm a Gen Xer, so it probably is something I should have learned more of. Okay, what do we got there? Second from that. Okay, we do have 0.9. Sorry, I know this is excruciating. Believe me, it is for me too. I have no want for... Okay, there we've got 2.5. Yeah, it's getting late now. I'm gonna have to close it up for tonight and dig into this more tomorrow. Okay, at least we know we're at the 2v5 NAND situation, so I can just carry on from there tomorrow, go through the rest of the rails. It's, like I said, it's not an error, that 06 error code that the Apple Configurator 2 gave me. It's not something I've actually encountered before. I might pick some brains on some people who know more than I do. I guess see what Tim Herman knows. He's pretty knowledgeable for these sort of T2 type situations. So yeah, I'll get a pickaxe and like chip away at his mind, see what it can tell me. Alright then, well, I'm out of here. Sorry we didn't have a great success, but at least it seems like the data should be intact, assuming the T2 is intact. If the T2 is faulty, then we're probably not going to get the data. And I'm going to check with the person who owns this and see what their data situation is. So, okay, I'm out of here. See you all next time. Be good, don't be good. I'll catch you later.